6 years after my breakup with Olivia, fate brought us face to face again at a class reunion. To my surprise, she was there arm in arm with her younger boyfriend, Ethan. As soon as she stepped into the room, she proudly announced their engagement. The room erupted with a mix of cheers and jeers, the eyes of our classmates fixed on me, eagerly awaiting my reaction. They expected a scene, some dramatic outburst from the ex-boyfriend. But I surprised everyone, myself included, by remaining calm. With a quiet smile, I walked over to her and handed over a $1,000 check as an engagement gift. The room fell silent. Olivia's composure shattered in an instant. She pulled me aside, her voice urgent and low. "Jack, it's been 6 years. Haven't you gotten over it? I'm just playing along with him to please his family. After this, I'll be with you. I swear." I stood there, my heart cold and distant, as memories of the past flooded my mind. How many times had she made me such promises? Every time she was with Ethan, she'd offer me empty assurances, plans for the future, promises of love, only for them to dissolve like mist the moment her boyfriend needed her. I had spent so many years chasing after those promises, hoping she would come back. But now, I no longer wanted her words or her games. I pulled my hand away and replied, my voice calm but firm, "Olivia, we've been over for a long time. You don't need to explain anything to me." She froze, confusion and anger flickering across her face. "What do you mean over? We've just been having a cold war for the past few years, haven't we?" I laughed bitterly, shaking my head. A cold war lasting 6 years? If you had even cared about me a little, you would have noticed when I blocked you, deleted you, and moved out of our apartment. But you didn't. For 6 years, I've lived my life without you. It's only you who's been in denial. Her expression faltered, a look of realization creeping into her eyes, but I didn't care to explain any further. With a brief, cold smile, I turned and walked toward the exit, eager to leave the painful drama behind. As I reached the door, Ethan sprinted ahead, blocking my way. His face wore a pretentious, falsely concerned expression. "Jack, bro, why are you leaving so suddenly? This is a class reunion. Are you still upset about what happened 6 years ago? If you're feeling guilty, I can apologize to you." The words hung in the air, a deliberate jab meant to provoke me. Olivia stood behind him, her eyes flickering with irritation as she shielded him from me. "Jack, why are you so petty? How can you still be holding a grudge after all this time?" I nearly laughed out loud. Petty? After everything? 6 years ago, on the day of our supposed wedding, Olivia had abandoned me for Ethan, leaving me stranded on a dark highway. I had to trudge through a snowstorm for hours to get to the venue, and by the time I arrived, I was a mess. The wedding was canceled, and I was humiliated in front of everyone. Olivia never once came to check on me. She was too busy caring for Ethan, who had claimed to be traumatized, even posting about it on social media for the world to see. That was the final straw. I had moved on, accepting a job transfer and leaving the country, leaving Olivia and her betrayal behind. I thought about all that, and then I calmly said, "There's nothing to misunderstand. Olivia and I ended things 6 years ago. Besides, I'm doing just fine now." But Ethan wasn't done yet. He continued, convinced that he could manipulate me. "Jack, please don't misunderstand. Olivia and we're just going through the motions. This engagement is just for show, to make his family happy. If you're bothered by it, I can cancel it." Before he could finish, Olivia interjected, her voice suddenly sharp. "No way, Ethan. I couldn't help but find it amusing." So, she didn't know how embarrassing it was to cancel a wedding at the last moment. Why hadn't she thought about how humiliating it would be for me back then? I had faced the scorn of friends and family alone, while she stayed with Ethan, not even sparing a thought for how much it hurt me. Sensing my disgust, Olivia softened, but only for a moment. She lowered her voice, trying to explain. "Jack, Ethan needs me. but I was already beyond her reach. I had learned the hard way that people who continuously leave you don't deserve a second chance. As I turned to leave, Ethan wasn't ready to let me go so easily. He played his part with remarkable insincerity. Taking off the engagement ring he had been wearing, he walked over to me with a smug expression, holding the ring out to me like a generous offering. "Brother Jack," he said, his voice dripping with false sincerity, "this ring originally belonged to you. Now that you're back, it only makes sense to return it to its rightful owner." His words were nothing more than a hollow performance, meant to show off in front of everyone. Olivia, who had been watching from the side, couldn't suppress a smug smile as she looked at the ring in his hand. "Jack," she said, her tone almost gleeful, "I had this ring specially designed for you. Remember? It was true. Olivia had designed this ring for me, a symbol of the future she promised we would share. But that was before Ethan decided he liked it. Without a second thought, she handed it over to him. He had been wearing it ever since, as though it was his all along. I couldn't help but sneer at the irony of it. With a sharp motion, I flung the diamond ring into a nearby trash can, the sound of it landing with a cold finality echoing in the quiet room. "I don't want something that someone else has worn," I muttered, my voice cold and unyielding. I turned, determined to leave without wasting another moment on the past. But Olivia, ever persistent, rushed to catch up, her hand grabbing mine in an attempt to stop me. "Jack, wait," she said urgently. As she grabbed me, her fingers brushed against something hard, and when she looked down, her eyes widened in surprise. A wedding ring was sparkling on my finger. "Jack," she said, her voice trembling with confusion. "What does this mean? Are you ignoring me? I thought we were supposed to be together. We're engaged. I've already agreed to marry you. What more do you want from me?" I kept my voice steady, not allowing her words to break me. "Do whatever you want, Olivia. But don't stop me from going back to my wife and child. Move aside." I shook her hand off, my resolve firm. Olivia's eyes flickered with panic as she tried to process what I just said. "Jack, what do you mean? Explain yourself," she insisted, her desperation growing. Before she could continue, Ethan suddenly stumbled forward, clutching his head as if in pain, his expression contorted in feigned distress. "Olivia, my head, it hurts so much," he moaned, gripping her clothes tightly, pretending to be in agony. Olivia immediately turned her attention to him, her face filled with concern. "Ethan, what's wrong? Did you drink too much?" she asked, clearly more worried about him than she had ever been for me. In the meantime, Ethan continued his performance. "Jack," he added with a grin that barely masked his triumph, "Ethan's feeling unwell from the alcohol. I need to take him to a nearby hotel to rest." He glanced at me, trying to seek my approval, but I found his attempt laughable. "I don't care where you go, Olivia," I interrupted, my voice sharp. "Go if you want. Just don't ask for my permission. We've been over for a long time." Olivia was stunned, unable to comprehend my indifference. In the past, I would have been consumed with jealousy at the thought of her alone with Ethan, desperate to stop her. But now, I didn't care anymore. Olivia was nothing to me, just an ex. Her voice wavered as she tried to get under my skin. "Aren't you worried? Don't you care that I'm going to a hotel with Ethan? You used to care so much about what I did." I met her gaze with a cold smile. "You're just my ex. Why should I worry about you?" Olivia's face turned pale, the realization dawning on her. She opened her mouth to say something, but Ethan, still clutching his head, cut her off. "Olivia, I'm feeling really bad. Can you please help me?" Without another word, Olivia supported Ethan, her eyes narrowing as she glared at me. "You said it yourself, Jack. Don't regret it later." With that, she huffed, storming off with Ethan in tow, leaving me to walk away, feeling nothing but relief. I had come to this reunion only as a side note. My real purpose for being in town was to spend time with my wife and daughter, to enjoy a little vacation. As I thought about them, I couldn't help but feel grateful to Olivia. If she hadn't driven me away all those years ago, I would never have met Emma, the love of my life, and we would never have had our beautiful daughter Lily. I remember the day I met Emma. It was on the streets of Paris. I had been slightly injured and lost in thought, wandering aimlessly. When I bumped into her, I apologized profusely, but instead of brushing me off, she bought me a cup of hot milk tea, comforting me with her kind words, telling me that life was beautiful and encouraging me to move forward. She didn't judge me for my scars, and slowly, she became my anchor. Unlike Olivia, Emma never belittled me or made empty promises. She listened to me, she understood me, and she loved me. With Emma by my side, I had healed, and when we had Lily, everything changed. They were the light of my life, my reason to keep going, my motivation to be better. Just the thought of returning to them filled me with warmth, and I quickened my pace, eager to see them again. But as luck would have it, as soon as I reached the hotel, I ran into Olivia and Ethan again. They were staying at the same hotel, of course. Olivia froze when she saw me. "What are you doing here?" she asked, confusion crossing her face. Ethan, ever the drama king, chimed in. Brother Jack must have realized his mistake and followed us here to apologize. He smiled, but I saw the hint of triumph in his eyes. Olivia's lips curled into a smug grin, and she taunted me. "Jack, weren't you so tough earlier? Regretting it already? You followed us here. Well, if you apologize to me, I might forgive you." I couldn't help but laugh at her delusion. "Don't flatter yourself, Olivia. I'm just staying here. That's all." She sneered, clearly not buying it. "This is a couple's hotel. Who are you trying to fool?" she retorted. Before I could respond, the door behind me opened and Emma stepped out. She smiled at me warmly, her presence radiating calm. "Honey, you're back," she said sweetly, her voice a balm to my soul. Olivia's face drained of color as she saw the matching wedding ring on Emma's finger. Her mouth hung open in disbelief, her self-assured arrogance crumbling before the truth. "A wedding ring? Jack, you really did get married." Emma, gentle and poised as always, didn't flinch at Olivia's venomous tone. She stood by my side, linking her arm with mine, her smile radiant and confident. "Jack and I are in the present now, Olivia. You were in his past. You're nothing more than an ex, not even worth mentioning." Olivia's face flushed with rage. She sneered at Emma. "So you're Jack's wife? You don't look like much. How long have you two been together?" "Jack and I have 18 years of history. He loves me and only me. You're just a rebound." I stood there, speechless, incredulous at Olivia's delusion. Emma, ever graceful, didn't rise to the bait. Instead, she looked at Olivia with a calm smile and said, "You're stuck in the past. Jack and I have a future, something you'll never have." Olivia's face twisted with fury, and she raised her hand to slap Emma. But before she could, I stepped in, my hand snapping out to catch her wrist. I slapped Olivia's hand away and in one swift motion, slapped her across the face, the sound echoing through the hotel corridor. "Enough, Olivia," I said coldly. Turning to Emma, I gently cupped her face, my concern for her overriding everything else. "Honey, are you okay? Did she hurt you?" Olivia stumbled back, holding her cheek in shock, tears welling up in her eyes. "You hit me? You really hit me." "For another woman?" she cried, her voice breaking with fake anguish. "After everything I did for you, after waiting for you all these years, this is how you repay me." I didn't answer her. Olivia was done. The woman I once loved was a stranger to me now, and nothing she said could change that. I watched as she stormed off, dragging Ethan behind her like a broken trophy. A cold smile tugged at my lips. It was incredible how, even after all that had happened, she still thought the world revolved around her. But she was wrong. It was my time now, and I had everything I needed right beside me. I gently took Emma's hand in mine as we walked away, heading back to our hotel room. Even after the confrontation with Olivia, Emma remained her usual calm and graceful self. She looked up at me, her smile soft and comforting, and whispered, "You handled it well, honey. Some people just can't let go of the past." Her words wrapped around me like a warm embrace, reassuring me that everything was as it should be now. I kissed her forehead, a gesture meant to reassure her and myself. Deep inside, however, I knew that Olivia wouldn't be so easily dismissed. Her persistence would likely continue. But I had no intention of letting her disrupt the life I had carefully built with Emma and our daughter. The next morning, as we sat down for breakfast in the hotel restaurant, Olivia showed up again, alone this time. She looked drained, worn down by whatever inner turmoil she was fighting, yet the arrogance still lingered in her demeanor. Without any hesitation, she sat at a table next to ours, as though Emma were invisible, and launched right into her tirade. "Jack, we need to talk. We can't just leave things like this," she said, as if demanding my attention was her right. Emma, ever composed, squeezed my hand, silently urging me to ignore Olivia's intrusion. But Olivia wasn't about to back down. "You think you can just erase me from your life? Do you forget everything we've been through? If it weren't for me, you wouldn't even be the man you are today." Emma's patience, though, remained unwavering. She finally spoke, her tone cool but firm. "Olivia, it's clear Jack has moved on. I don't see why we need to entertain any more of this." Olivia let out a mocking laugh, as if she were evaluating Emma like a counterfeit version of something valuable. "Moved on with you? Don't make me laugh. Jack will never forget what we had. I'm the one he'll always love. I'm the woman he'll always come back to." My patience, already paper-thin, snapped. I turned to Olivia, meeting her gaze squarely, and said, my voice cold and unwavering, "Olivia, enough. I don't owe you anything. You had your chance, and you threw it away. I'm happy now with my family, something you'll never understand. So please leave us alone." Olivia, not willing to accept this, suddenly stood up, slamming her hands on the table. "You think you can just discard me after everything I did for you? I sacrificed so much for you, and now you're here playing the perfect husband and father with her." Her voice was rising, but I was beyond angry now. "What did you sacrifice, Olivia? You sacrificed our relationship for Ethan. You sacrificed my dignity on our wedding day." I shot back. "You didn't sacrifice anything, except my patience. And now, what is it you want? More attention? An apology? You're not getting any of that." Before she could retort, Ethan entered the restaurant, looking uncomfortable as he approached her. "Olivia, what are you doing? Why are you humiliating yourself like this? He's made it clear he wants nothing to do with you. Let's go." But Olivia wasn't ready to be abandoned, even by him. She yanked her arm away from Ethan and pointed at him with disgust. You're the reason for all of this. If it weren't for you, I never would have lost Jack. You promised me the world, but all you gave me was shame." Ethan, clearly embarrassed and tired of the drama, didn't try to argue. He simply turned and left, leaving Olivia standing there alone. The truth of her situation finally settled in, but she wouldn't admit it. Instead, she turned back to me, eyes welling with tears, though I knew better than to believe they were sincere. "Jack, I know I messed up. I was confused. I was young. I was immature. Please, give me another chance. I can be the woman you deserve." Emma, who had remained silent up until that moment, spoke with a calmness that made her words even sharper. "Olivia," she said, "what you need to understand is that the world doesn't revolve around you. You had Jack, and you chose something else. Now he's my husband, and nothing you do or say will change that." Olivia's face crumpled in humiliation, and she began to cry, but I felt no pity. It wasn't real regret. It was a frustration of losing control. I stepped forward, my voice firm, resolute. "Olivia, this ends here. Don't contact me again. Don't speak to me. I have a family now, a life that I'm building with the people I love. I hope you find peace, but it won't be with me. I turned to Emma, who had stood by me through it all, and took her hand. We walked away, leaving Olivia behind, defeated but still clinging to a version of reality where she was the one who mattered. As we made our way through the hotel, I couldn't help but reflect on how much my life had changed. Emma was everything Olivia had never been: kind, loving, dependable. She made me feel whole in a way I never had before. And our daughter, Lily, filled our days with laughter and joy. For the first time in years, I felt like I had closed that chapter of my life completely. I didn't need anything else. I had everything I could ever want. The following weeks passed peacefully. Emma, Lily, and I made the most of our time together, visiting beautiful places and creating memories that would last a lifetime. Olivia and Ethan didn't reappear, and I finally breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that the weight of my past had been fully shed. Life was good. It was simple. And most importantly, it was mine. Back home, I slipped back into the comfort of my routine. Emma continued to be my rock, always understanding, always supportive. Lily's innocent laughter became the soundtrack of our days. Every time I looked at them, I was reminded of how blessed I was. The past no longer had any power over me, no longer controlled my thoughts or my emotions. One afternoon, as I sat in my office, I received an email from an address I knew all too well: Olivia. I hesitated before opening it, unsure if I was ready to face her words. But in the end, I decided I needed to confront it, once and for all, with maturity. The email was long, filled with apologies and regret. Olivia wrote about her reflections, how she now understood how much she had hurt me. She said she was trying to move on, but the pain of losing me still consumed her. I read every word calmly, but instead of feeling anger or resentment, I felt nothing. There was an emptiness where there used to be love, where there used to be pain. It was strange how someone who once meant so much to me could now feel so distant, so irrelevant. I closed the email without responding. There was nothing to say. No words could undo the past, nor would any response serve a purpose. I knew that giving her any attention would only keep alive something that needed to stay in the past. Months passed, and I heard rumors that Olivia and Ethan had broken up. I wasn't surprised. Their relationship had always been shallow, built on manipulations and false promises. I also heard that she was facing difficulties, but I didn't seek out any details. What happened in her life no longer concerned me. I had my own life, my own family, and my own future to focus on. Looking back, I realized that it wasn't Olivia who needed forgiveness. It was me. I needed to forgive myself for allowing that toxic relationship to take up so much of my life. Once I did, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. It was a freedom I had never known before. Today, when I reflect on everything that has happened, I see that it was all necessary to bring me to where I am now. Emma and Lily are my world. They are the reason I strive, the reason I grow. The love we share is genuine, built on trust, respect, and understanding. It is unlike anything I ever had with Olivia. I don't know where Olivia is now or how her life turned out, and honestly, I no longer care. I hope she finds peace. But I know that for me, the past doesn't define who I am today. I've found freedom. I've found true love. Life may take us down difficult and winding roads, but in the end, everything falls into place as it should. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that true love doesn't bind or suffocate. It sets you free. And that's the freedom I've finally found.